and welcome to this week's episode of Off My Bridge. My name is Guy, and today we are looking at why you need silly adventures. Why do you need silly adventures? Well, what is a silly adventure to begin with? Before we dive into that, remember to hit the like button, the subscribe button, or the bell button if you want to be alerted to future episodes as they come out. So, silly adventures. Silly adventures within Star Trek have been around since the very beginning of Star Trek because oftentimes it is through mockery and through satire and through ridiculous situations that philosophers and those who are exploring the human condition can be the most scathing, whilst at the same time sometimes just having some fun. And so we see that in all of the iterations of Star Trek, except as far as I am aware of for Star Trek Discovery. We haven't had a silly episode, really, in Discovery. And there have been some moments, but there haven't been dedicated episodes. Think back to, say, Strange New Worlds and their weird alien coalescing into a fantasy environment. That was insane. It was absolutely wonderful to watch. Think of the baseball game between the DS9ers and the Vulcan team. Think of Robin Hood and Maid Marian. We are not merry men. And Next Generation. Think of Voyager and Beowulf, where suddenly the Doctor has to go and save all the Vikings. So what could be in a silly episode? It could be some kind of sport. Baseball, racquetball, anything along those lines. It could be a musical where everyone has to start singing musically or performing musically. One of Picard's episodes where he fell in love with Neela Darren was all about music, her playing the piano and him playing his Rasikian flute. So it could be about music. It could be swapped bodies or personalities. It could be regression to a different age or a different evolutionary step along the chain, or progression, as in the case of Paris and the Captain. So there are many ways in which silly episodes can play out. You just get to choose one. You can be as crazy as you like. Really, the sky is the limit. Now, you can even step into different dimensions where things are only two-dimensional, or perhaps you're in a cartoon world. There is absolutely nothing stopping you from going crazy. But how then do we establish these? Why do they happen? Generally speaking, they happen because of either an alien interference, so the aliens are projecting this fantastical space. It could be because of a viral infection. It could be because the crew are all hallucinating. It could be because someone is running a neurological program and is testing certain things. It could be a holodeck simulation and everyone has to pretend that they're in World War II. There are so many different ways in which these events can happen. It could be a rift or a tear in space. It could be an ancient device that transports the crew to a different dimension or to an alternate dimension. It could be that the crew themselves, one of them is just dreaming and they wake up. It could be that they're in a coma and this is what they're going through whilst in a coma. It could be a dream quest, a vision quest. It could be, there are so many ways in which this could happen. The trick to silly adventures, however, is that there should always be something at stake, like a traditional adventure. There should be a goal. We need to save the platypus and his friends before the river dries up, because otherwise they're all going to die. Or we need to find out where the clown lives before he cuts everyone's heads off. Or we need to save Maid Marian from the evil Sheriff of Nottingham. There must always be a stake and a very clear defining end. And the reason for this is that some players might go, oh, it's a silly adventure. I don't like silly adventures. Well, guess what? They're going to be going on it. Now, my advice when creating silly adventures is to never make it a long adventure. Make this a one-shot. Think about it as a one-shot. This is something you're going to sit down and in 4 hours, possibly you'll be done, maybe in 8. So 2 sessions max. Again, it is there for a reason. And what are those reasons? The first and most important one, it reminds everybody at the table that we're here to have fun. And that fun can sometimes be in just being a moose. You're a Jacote moose. Sorry, that's actually more interesting than what you were. It also lets players explore different aspects of their character. Suddenly you are no longer the captain of a starship, but you are in actual fact a 9-year-old boy or an 11-year-old boy. You're no longer the chief tactical officer, you're now a 9-year-old girl. Go and explore what you were like in your childhood. Go and explore what you're like. You're actually no longer even human. Now you're a yeti. Or you are now living your entire life on a medieval farm, and you experience that entire period of 70 years before waking up and realizing it was 15 minutes and you banged your head. It allows players to swap bodies, which can be a huge amount of fun if you've got people who really like to lean into it. So literally a case of you step onto that transporter and you step off the transporter. Right, would you please swap your character with everybody to the left? You are now suddenly in that person's body. But you're still you, but you're in their body. Or you are you, but you also have to be them, and pretend to be them, and impersonate them. It's just you as the player are now playing them. That can lead to all kinds of craziness. Again, make sure there is a very obvious out. Another thing that doing a silly adventure does is that it breaks from business as usual, and that can be quite important. Not another mission where we have to go and chart a star, only to discover that there's an evil alien entity that's going to try and cause the star to blow up, and then we've got to stop them, and then we've got to follow a trail. No. This is something that your players are going, I'm sorry, what? We have to sing everything that we say? We have to rhyme, we have to speak in Shakespearean, such that our fellows might comprehend the words upon which our lips impart to their ears, and hope that sunshine shine upon their Another thing which I think fun adventures can do is if you as the GM are sitting there going, I don't know what to do this next week, they're going to finish up the adventure, and then I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do another espionage, I don't want to do another one of the, I'm going to do a silly adventure. Why not? It allows you as the GM to just have some fun, flex your creative muscles a little bit, and you know what? Why not? Indulge yourself. You want to do a pirate adventure and you're busy playing Star Trek? Well, me hearties, guess what? You're going on a pirate adventure. Why not? Why not? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So those are at least 5 different reasons as to why you should run a silly adventure. And lastly, with regards to silly adventures, as I have already hinted, you need to still have your usual progression. The players discover that they're in a different space. They then need to discover who or what or why they've been brought there. They need to struggle to figure out exactly what they need to do to get out of there. And then, of course, they need to get out of there. Holodeck might seem like the easiest route to going to a crazy space, and it certainly can be. But bearing in mind that a silly adventure becomes a very dark and twisted and nightmarish adventure if things start to go really seriously wrong, and if violence or any kind of intimidation starts to happen. That's it from me for this week. And next week, we will be designing a silly adventure for our Borg campaign, because we're on to adventure number 4 within that Borg campaign. So join me there, where you'll see what we get up to there, because we need a silly campaign after our Romulan trial that took place. So that is to look forward to next week. A new announcement for those of you that have stuck around. My Patreon page has changed ever so slightly in terms of what I'm going to be doing moving forward for the next couple of months. You will now still get adventures, NPCs, order cards, all of the usual stuff that I've been giving out. But I will also be giving all subscribers the opportunity to ask any questions that they might have with regards to role-playing, and I'll do my best to answer them either within Patreon, or I'll create a special episode just here on Off My Bridge to answer those questions. It can be on anything in role-playing, it doesn't have to necessarily be related to Star Trek. So, join the Patreon, link down below. Until next week, I wish you and yours long life and happy gaming.